The sport of Formula One needs to both remember and pay tribute to Graham Beveridge. Graham Beveridge needs to be used as an example to educate all fans of the sport of Formula One. Who's Graham Beveridge? I'll come to that. See, today on Sky Sports F1 Facebook, they put up this photograph remembering Charlie Whiting, who passed away on the eve of the 2019 Australian Grand Prix, which then shoehorned Michael Massey into the role of race director. When we look into the life and passing of Charlie Whiting, we can all look at the Wikipedia page about Charlie, which gives us details about his career and his early life and his tragic passing, because he was regarded as being a man of integrity and somebody who developed the sport of Formula One to what it is today. Charlie sadly died of a pulmonary embolism. And again, you can look on Wikipedia as to the kind of causes of pulmonary, I can't even pronounce it, pulmonary embolisms, and it'll tell you there, what can cause the pulmonary embolisms. And you can look into all the sorts of things that might cause a pulmonary embolism, such as like a what's that happening there? It's like being injected into something. I don't know, but you can look into all the causes that might cause a pulmonary embolism, long haul flights, for example. But it seemed an untimely death of Charlie Whiting. So our thoughts are with Charlie Whiting's family. Charlie appeared to be a decent man, a man that wasn't malleable in the same way that Michael Massey was. Michael Massey was a puppet, able to be controlled by those above him to perform what they required him to do. It didn't appear that Charlie was. Graham Beveridge. Graham Beveridge was a Formula One marshal. Marshals are integral to motorsport. You cannot have motorsport without marshals. You would not get a Grand Prix without marshals. They are extremely important. Their safety is a massive consideration. Their safety is the responsibility of the race director, because it's the race director's role to ensure the safe running of that event, and that includes all track personnel who are vital to the safe running of this sport. Because when collisions happen, when incidents occur, when there's debris on the track, somebody has to clear them up in order to continue the sport and continue that sport, returning the competing environment to a safe competing environment. And that requires marshals. That requires men and women putting themselves in dangerous situations for the love of the sport. And Graham Beveridge is likely to be such a person. So let's just have a read of this information, and then I'm going to take you through the incident, which I've got footage of, which I will use. And hopefully this can be used as an education for us all. It's something I've just learnt about today when doing some research. So, Graham Francis Beveridge, born the 16th of November 1948, sadly passed on the 4th of March 2001, was a trackside marshal who died at the 2001 Australian Grand Prix after he was struck by the flying wheel of Jacques Villeneuve's BAR, which flew through the safety fence. The incident was only shown on Australian digital television, where the race was shown in widescreen. The top three drivers were informed of his death before stepping out on the podium, and all three stood in sombre mood. No champagne was sprayed as a sign of respect to Beveridge and his family. So as we scroll down, On lap 4, Jacques Villeneuve ran into the back of Ralf Schumacher, launching the BAR into the air and the trackside concrete barriers, shedding wheels and bodywork as it cartwheeled along the wall to a halt in the deep gravel trap. Schumacher spun into the same gravel trap after bottoming across the track and curbs with a missing rear wing and apparently compromised rear left suspension, incapable of rejoining the race. Tragically, one of the loose wheels hit 52-year-old Marshal Beveridge. He was transferred to hospital where he died. One of the cameras captured the moment that Beveridge was hit by a tyre. He was the second Marshal to die at a Grand Prix in less than 6 months, following Paolo Ghislimberti's death at the 2000 Italian Grand Prix, and the last for 12 years until Mark Robinson was killed at the 2013 Canadian Grand Prix. Thankfully, the reduction in deaths during Grand Prix can be attributed to improvements in human safety and driver protection. So, it is the likes of Charlie Whiting, the race director, who's taken responsibility to make improvements on behalf of the FIA on the grounds of safety to make a safe environment for those people that are integral to the sport and who need protection. So let's look at actually what happened. So the 2001 Australian Grand Prix. I believe it was a season opener there as well. So let's play a little bit of what was going on.
And he's now up into 11th place in the Benetton ahead of Montoya, and out goes Ralf Schumacher.
No rear wing on that Williams of Schumacher's, probably after he's connected with the wall, but we'll have to wait for a replay. Did he lose the rear wing first? Looks almost certain that he lost the car, then the rear wing, doesn't it, given the dust and the bits and pieces laying all over the place. So Ralf then off the road.
So here's a replay of the incident. It appears the car behind Jacques Villeneuve was travelling at a greater speed and ran into the back of Schumacher in front. Or the other way around, one of the two. Look, this is the sort of incident that can occur if the car behind is travelling significantly faster than the car in front. It can occur if a driver brake tests another driver. This can be the consequence of a brake test, for example. Hence, things such as brake tests should be exposed to everybody. Everybody should be aware of the danger of such driving.
Let's have a look. Oh, big shunt.
Oh, that's the bit.
It would appear that when Villeneuve's car smashed into that netting, that standing directly behind that netting might have been Graham Beveridge. Now, I don't know for certain, but obviously when there's an impact into the wire barriers like that, they deform. And if you're standing directly behind it, you're still going to have the impact of that deformed barrier hitting you. So whether that was ultimately the blow that caused all the damage, I don't fully know, but that's what would appear to be the case.
Yeah, I wonder, it's Villeneuve. I wondered why the marshals were not looking at Schumacher as they ran away. Jacques Villeneuve, a tremendous crash.
Safety car, Murray. The race will now be controlled by the safety car, and Villeneuve there, I think it's down in turn 3, isn't it, where they connected.
That's your turn.
He has my piece of gravel there, and Villeneuve there connecting very, very badly with the wall. He should be okay. The problem is you do sit on the floor of these cars, and it's the floor of the car that hit the wall there for Villeneuve, and your backside literally is just a few millimetres of carbon fibre away from the action there. But so the race is neutralised under the safety car. All of these laps count, of course. There's an arrows in the wall there.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I think it's Bernaldi's.
Okay, if you look at this image, on the far right of the screen, there appears to be somebody wearing a green overalls. I believe that's the medic, and I believe that they're attending to Graham Beveridge. Okay, so it would appear to me that that was the impact where Villeneuve's car smashed into this wire netting here. It's likely that Graham Beveridge, the marshal, was standing directly behind it and would have been impacted by that car hitting that barrier.
Car. Yes, it is. Enrique Benaldi, the Brazilian, starting in his first Grand Prix, didn't last very long. Look at the debris there. You know that corner well.
The problem is with this kind of accident, there's a lot of shards of carbon fibre, and it's so easy to pick up a puncture just cruising through this sort of crash zone here. And
so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut a lot of this out and just forward to a few key moments, because there's some things that take place here that I found absolutely disgusting, and I just want to show them to you so that you become aware of why there is the need to evolve processes in Formula One continually, and why we need to learn from mistakes, why we need to educate people. Because if we don't learn from tragic events, if we don't learn from history, then history repeats. Commentator Murray Walker gives the fans an overview of what is taking place.
Safety car has come out. The lights on the roof are flashing. Everybody has to line up behind it until the debris has been removed from the track and is judged safe to drive on again. And then the safety car will turn its lights out and pull into the pit lane.
This lap, Murray.
On this lap.
This
right.
lap.
Thanks,
so
Martin.
Villeneuve's clear of the car.
So, Martin Brundle has received information saying the safety car will be coming in this lap.
Look, they're just going to bring the crane in, so they know they've got about 2.5 minutes of pace behind that safety car. They practice with the safety car, just like any other car runner, so they know how long it takes, and that's good action there to get this race underway. Might be a touch early, actually. They've got to clear.
Oh, that was a terrific blow. Now, and let me tell you that no passing is allowed until they have passed the start and finish point on the track.
Villeneuve is okay, so Villeneuve is out of the car and he is okay. I can see on a diamond screen outside the commentary box here Villeneuve on the back of a motorcycle recovering to the pits. So
isn't that amazing?
Good news here. That
isn't
was
that amazing?
A big shunt.
Yeah. Now, once again, it emphasises how incredibly strong these modern Formula One cars are. David Coulthard then up into 4th place now, followed by Jarno Trulli and Olivier.
Apologies for the buffering. Video error. Marvellous. Let me try and find this spot again. Okay, we're there or thereabouts, so let's play this forward.
These modern Formula One cars are. David Coulthard then up into 4th place now, followed by Jarno Trulli and Olivier Panis.
Well, I did say I thought the safety car was coming in a tad early. Is now a new message. The safety car will not come in this lap. There's just a bit too much debris. We'll be back shortly.
So, I don't want to make this video particularly about the corruption that took place at Abu Dhabi 2021. However, there are some key points. After Abu Dhabi 2021, Red Bull presented in the corrupt stewards appeal that once the message safety car in this lap has been given, then the safety car must come in this lap, and that overrides everything. That's what Red Bull were allowed to present in the corrupt appeal. Here, Brundle has received the message that the safety car's coming in, but it's been overridden and the safety car's not coming in. So it doesn't mean what Red Bull were presenting, does it? It doesn't mean that corrupt representation represented by Red Bull. What it means is the track itself may have been declared free of debris. However, there's a medical emergency that is taking place. There's still a safety concern, and hence, whilst initially race control may have got the message that actually we're good to go racing again from somebody who wasn't aware of that medical emergency, if race control are then subsequently informed actually there's still a problem, then what race control do is reverse the decision because the safety concern is still present and therefore they continue to use the safety car. It's not a case of saying, oh, well, we've told everybody we're bringing it in now, which means, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. We have to bring it in now. It's utter gaslighting from Red Bull again, from everybody involved in Abu Dhabi. It appears that's what the situation is here. It appears that they believe, for example, they've removed these cars out of the gravel track. They may have removed the majority of the debris from the track. And then some may have assumed, okay, we're good to get the race underway. Until somebody said, no, we've got to deal with trying to save a man's life.
Well, what's the position? There is Michael Schumacher leading across the line, following the safety car, with Mika Häkkinen in second position. As you look at the debris of the BAR, and the wheel tethers, even though they've been doubled this year, failed to keep 3 of the wheels on Jacques Villeneuve's BAR. I can't imagine that anything could have kept them on with the impact. And you can see that Ralf Schumacher's BMW Williams there has got the rear wing missing. He's a very lucky man he wasn't hurt.
Yes, it was difficult to see because we just caught the very beginning of the accident rather than the approach to it. But it seemed as if Villeneuve was just approaching the corner way too fast. Ralph appeared to be under control. Maybe Villeneuve was shaping up for a good look at having a passing move on Ralph and just overcommitted. But you need the wheels to. That's Ralph having a poke around
having a deco at the car. Yes.
You need the wheels to come off. You need bits and pieces to fly off. That is what dissipates the energy.
I don't know if you're paying attention to that. Brundle just said, you need the wheels to come off. You need bits to come flying off the car. That's what dissipates the energy. Brundle, verbal diarrhea, filling the airwaves with bullshit, lying to children, conditioning the children's minds with falsehoods. The reason they have the wheel tethers is so that the wheels don't come flying off. Marshals have been killed in the past. Spectators have been killed in the past by wheels coming off motor racing vehicles and going into the crowd, killing people. So we don't need wheels coming off cars. We don't need bits of debris coming off cars. We don't need steering columns breaking and piercing the helmet of drivers of cars, killing them, which is what is reported to have killed Ayrton Senna. We don't need that at all, Martin. So stop filling the airwaves with verbal diarrhea, noise that's completely inaccurate. Reports suggest it was a flying wheel that killed Graham Beveridge. Now, it appears from this footage that the wheel was still attached to Villeneuve's car when Villeneuve's car was flung into that netting. And if it's likely that Graham Beveridge was stood directly behind that netting, the deformed netting would have meant that energy was transferred to the person. So,
I'm amazed one of them still hanging on there, recovering the arrows of Bernoldi. That was halfway down the straight. He obviously had a coming together with somebody else on the way out of turn 2. So there's Bernoldi back to the pits, and meanwhile we're still under safety car conditions.
I'm going to fast forward a little bit now. I've paused it at 19 minutes 52, and I'm going to fast forward to 31 minutes something. Let's have a look. Okay, I forward it to 30 minutes 53 on the timestamp of this recording, and we'll play through a little bit more. Still under safety car. This entire incident takes 10 racing laps, but that bit's it's insignificant. What's significant is a Marshal, lost his life here, and we need to learn the lessons from what actually took place.
Well, this race has now been running because it is still on behind the safety car. It's been running for nearly 15 minutes, and obviously it's going to dramatically extend the race time in total, which I expected to be about 1.5 hours when it began. We're on lap 11 out of 58 now, and in case you missed it, the reason the safety car is staying out for so long is that there is some kind of a medical problem where the cars went off. We fear, although I've had no official statement about this, I must emphasise, that somebody may have been hit with a bit of debris, and that would undoubtedly be the problem. But there they are, dodging about is Olivier Panis, who is in 6th position.
Well, whilst giving full respect to anybody who may have been injured down in that corner, the teams will have to be staying focused, and here we go.
So again, a replay of the incident. I don't know if I've forwarded past this, but Martin Brundle does state that the lap speed behind the safety car is exactly 1 minute slower than a normal racing lap speed, and 10 laps at safety car speed as opposed to 10 laps at race speed would add 10 minutes to the overall race time. So it's not overly dramatic in the manner it's described. One of the things that Murray Walker is alluding to is that they're not fully aware of what is taking place at this location. They've had reports that there's somebody requiring medical attention, and that's why the safety car is still on the track. Learning points from that. Learning points from 2001. You have global commentators of a sport not able to inform people of what is going on at the Grand Prix because they're not being shown it. You're in a commentary booth and you don't know what you can say to the world because you're not being shown the footage. You have cameras at this point, and yet those who are in charge of the cameras are not allowing those in commentary to see what is going on. So those that are paid to commentate, paid to inform people about what's going on, you're not giving them what they need to see. Surely, back in 2001, those people that are commentating should have raised that as being an issue. You're expecting us to inform the global watching audience as to what is going on at this event, and you're depriving us of what is going on at this event. Now, I'm not expecting you to show the world it, if it's disturbing footage that really we need to be protected from seeing, but those that are commentating need to be aware of what is going on so that they can inform people accurately about what is going on. They should have learnt that 20 years ago. This is the replay of the crash.
Oh, look, and that's a long, long way before the corner.
Like I say, a brake test can cause that kind of collision, that aftermath of that is what it can result in. And we wonder why Lewis Hamilton sounded extremely disturbed after what took place at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix of 2021.
that really before the turning point of that corner. It's very early in the braking zone, and Villeneuve has been caught out, really misunderstanding. Yes, Murray?
No, sorry, Martin. I was just going to say I was watching very carefully the right-hand side of the screen there to see whether anything from Villeneuve's car might have actually gone into the crowd, and I noticed that the car went slap bang into the concrete barrier, and there are big, very, very heavy wire, you can see them there, wire netting barriers between the crowd and a high point. So hopefully with the crowd well behind, it would only be a comparatively minor bit of debris. Who knows though?
No, there was a lot of pieces coming off the car, unfortunately, Murray. But I was saying that the teams are going to have to stay focused. We are still in a Grand Prix, and the significance of this safety car situation is the cars, as I said, they're a minute a lap slower, they're cruising around at very low RPM, they're using a lot less fuel, and this race is critical. We think it's a one-stopper. We think they'll all run as far as they can before they come in, so that they can maximise their time on empty tanks, and the cars will be much faster at that point. And so the teams have to now recalculate, as every time they come past behind that Mercedes-Benz, recalculate how much further they can get in this race now than they had first anticipated.
Yeah, Ralph Schumacher, so you probably heard James Allen's piece before the race began, and he very wisely pointed out that Ralph Schumacher stayed out very late last year in the Williams, lap 38, which was 2/3 of the race distance, and then he came in for new tyres and fuel, and that lifted him from 11th position to 3rd place, which is where he finished the race, behind Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello, who made it a Ferrari 1-2 last year. Jacques Villeneuve, who's gone out so heavily this year, to score no points of course, was in 4th place last year. Still no news, I'm afraid, about when the Australian Grand Prix is going to start at racing speed.
So here's the ambulance now pulling away, and you'll see why I'm so disgusted very shortly. Now, prior to this, what has been missed out is that there were medics attending to the stricken Marshal, and this safety car was lapping lap after lap with the Formula 1 cars following. If somebody is fighting for their life on the side of a Formula 1 track, what you really don't want is every couple of minutes a stream of cars driving past that incident. A stream of cars, engines screaming where you can't hear yourself think, passing a site where somebody is receiving emergency medical attention, fighting for their life. Hence, I've said several times in my videos, there's times where you will use a red flag and stop the race. This should be such a time. There are certain circumstances where you would use a red flag. They would be when the track is blocked and you can't make a safe passageway through that. When there is medical attention required to somebody, or when the barriers are damaged and it's going to take a prolonged period of time to effect barrier repairs in order to repair them to a state where they can perform the role that they are intended to perform, because they've been significantly weakened and they need repairing so they actually function correctly. They're the times where you would utilise a red flag to stop the race. This is one of those times where you should be stopping the race. You should not be allowing cars, motor racing cars, to be lapping past the scene where somebody is receiving emergency medical attention. But now look at this.
Speeds, but hopefully that is a good sign as we see the ambulance drive away now, and I reckon that's a turn that ambulance there is getting away. The road to the hospital is very, very close. Earlier shots showed you Queen's Road and St Kilda Road, which are two parallel roads here in Melbourne, which run right alongside the racetrack. You get.
So this was the scene. These are the green overall medics by the looks of things. This is the Formula One medical car. This is the safety car. Only a few seconds after the actual ambulance has departed.
Get this strange situation of looking at race cars and also everyday public touring cars just going about their business in the city. Well, now what is the news? When is the safety car coming in? Because it looks to me as though the track is getting clear altogether of the medical appliances, the ambulance, the medical car.
So we've got the safety car having caught the ambulance now. And look what the ambulance has to do.
Which leads them round. Not the sort of sight that you want to see at a Grand Prix.
The ambulance has to effectively pull over and wait for the passing cars. There's a human being fighting for their life, and the ambulance has to pull over and allow the snake of Formula One cars to pass it.
That's a difficult situation there, really. The safety car driver had a real problem on his hands. Does he keep the field going past the ambulance?
I'm wondering
where the ambulance had to move out wide. Probably the quickest way, actually, just to let the field go past.
It's probably the quickest way just to let the field go past. It's all about letting the field go past. Recently, I think it was last week, a Barcelona football match was called off just before it was due to take place because the team's medic had passed away prior to the game. So they called the sport off. We've seen games of football abandoned when players have collapsed on the pitch or when spectators have collapsed and either died or required urgent medical attention. The sport is secondary to human lives. But it's not secondary to billionaire Bernie. Billionaire Bernie doesn't care about human lives. The show must go on, the money must keep rolling in, because that's all billionaire Bernie cared about. He didn't care about Ayrton Senna's passing. The reports are that they knew Ayrton Senna had died. They didn't abandon that Imola Grand Prix back in 1994. They didn't inform anybody that Ayrton Senna had passed until well after the event. The show must go on, the money must keep coming in. Like here. The show must go on, the money must keep rolling in. Because billionaires don't care about people, they care about money.
We're on round about turn 9 now.
And Bernie sold it to billionaires that are even more wealthy and care even more about money and less about people.
Well, you can see the Albert Park Lake in the up top of your pictures there, and the long left-hander that they're coming towards is turn 10. You're probably going to turn off at the end of the lap. That's presumably the quickest way to wherever it needs to go. And I suppose the safety car will do a lap after this one and then come in. I say suppose because I don't really know. We're on lap 12 now, so that means that the race, if I'm right, would there we are, there's Queen's Road at the bottom of your picture. The race would effectively restart on lap 14 out of 58, so there would still be 44 racing. Well, you've just got the answer on your screen with that caption. 46 laps remaining. I reckon there's this one and maybe even the next one before the race restarts. So watch those lights on the top of the safety.
It turned out that 10 laps were taken out of that race. Okay. That bit is not important. The important thing is human being. A human being involved in motorsport, playing a crucial role of being a marshal at a motorsport event, sustained an injury, a life-threatening injury that they passed away to. We must learn from that. Can't let that repeat itself, and therefore we must introduce protocols and safety measures to make it as safe as possible for everybody else that's still performing that role. We need to learn from the situation. How can we make improvements? How can we educate people as to the dangers about this sport and the dangers that these marshals face? We don't get that. Instead, we get lies. The day after Abu Dhabi 2021, where there were marshals on the track clearing up debris after Nicholas Latifi's crash.
It's like a legal document, and the sporting code, which backs everything up, is that sort of thick, and it's just it's a minefield. And in the heat of the moment, when Michael Massey, the race director, had to consider the safety of marshals,
the race director had to consider the safety of marshals.
Was the car out of the way?
Was the car out of the way?
He couldn't release the cars until he was the lapped cars until he was certain that the track was reasonably clear. Although
they couldn't release the lapped cars until they were sure the track was reasonably clear, says the expert who's educating the kids about the sport. This is the man who 20 years earlier witnessed a marshal dying, commentated on the event where a marshal died, and then validates a fraud with that statement.
Until he was the lapped cars until he was certain that the track was reasonably clear,
until he was certain the track was reasonably clear. No, Martin, nothing to do with reasonably clear. The race director, the clerk of the course, is responsible for the lives of those marshals. They essentially are the health and safety officers of the sport. It is their responsibility. When a safety incident occurs, it is their responsibility to respond appropriately. It is then the people that choose which measure to employ to make it safe, and it is their responsibility to ensure the safety of those marshals as those marshals are carrying out their duty. It's nothing to do with ensuring that the track is reasonably clear. It's ensuring that the conditions are safe. And you do not release cars to go herring off around the track to catch the back of that safety car snake when there are marshals still on that track. And yet the sports expert, the liar of the sport, lies to you to perpetrate the fraudulent, corrupt agenda that he is being paid to validate and present to the world. That is the level of respect that you afford to men such as Graham Beveridge. Graham Beveridge, a man who sadly lost his life in Formula One. So remember the name. The sport cannot take place without men and women performing that vital role. And they need acknowledging for their efforts, and they need to be remembered, and people need to be educated so that them mistakes in history, those tragic events in history, are not repeated. And that corrupt agendas don't allow for the corner cutting of safety measures that are there to protect lives. Safety measures that have been developed over time due to tragic events, due to reviewing tragedies, reviewing tragic events, and devising measures and strategies to try and ensure that they never happen again. Please share this. If you're on social media, raise awareness of Graham Beveridge. Raise awareness of who Graham Beveridge is, who he was, and why it is important that Formula One has these safety protocols. It's not all about exciting the kiddies. It's not all about, oh, it's only live once. Anything can happen. Stay on the edge of your seat, kiddies, and buy the product. No, it's a sport, but it's got its dangers, both for the competitors and for the personnel that ensure that that sport can take place. And everybody needs to be aware of the measures that need to be employed in this sport to best protect the safety of the people involved in that sport, because we do not want to see people die in sport. And this man lost his life. And the youth, the up and coming fans, need to be educated about that, not lied to just to keep them aroused and excited to buy the product, which is what this direction is of this corrupt agenda that neglects informing people about what really matters in this world, people's lives, and only cares about money. Thank you for your time.